Every morning, when you step out your front door, you join this massive, flowing river of people. You might hop in a car or on a bus or a train, but have you ever really stopped to think about what makes it all work? There's a hidden logic, an invisible blueprint that shapes this daily dance, and today, we're gonna pull back the curtain on it. I mean, just look at it. Every single day, millions of us are making our own unique journeys, and somehow it creates this pattern that looks like beautiful, organized chaos. But here's the secret, it's not chaos at all.
Wow.
There's a science to it, a way of understanding the very rhythm of a city. So let's break it down. Believe it or not, it all begins with you. Yeah, you. Your decision about where you live, that specific office you work at, or even the park you go to on the weekend. Every one of these individual choices is a fundamental building block for how our cities are planned. Your trip to the grocery store might feel totally random, right? But when you add your trip to thousands or millions of others, a clear pattern starts to emerge. City planners aren't seeing random movements, they're seeing a giant interconnected puzzle, and their job is to figure out how all those pieces fit together. And this is where it gets really fascinating. You see, a city isn't just a random collection of buildings and roads. Nope, it's a dynamic living system. The location of one new office building can totally change traffic patterns on the other side of town. A new subway line can change where people decide to live. It's all connected. So what's the engine driving this whole thing? Well, it's simply what we do every day, our activities. We need places to live, to work, to shop, to learn, and of course, to have fun. These basic human needs are what create the demand for all this movement in the first place. And because we have all these different needs, the city has to get organized. We naturally create residential zones for living, commercial districts for business, and industrial areas for making things. This organization is what planners call land use. Okay, so now you've got all these different zones. How they're all arranged determines how easy or difficult it is to get from one to another, and that, my friends, is accessibility. Is your home close to your job? Can you walk to a supermarket? That's all about the relationship between different land uses. Naturally, to bridge the distance between where we are and where we need to be, we have to build stuff. We lay down roads, we build train tracks, we create bus routes. This whole network is like the veins and arteries of the city, built specifically to help us access all those different activities. But here's the real kicker. This isn't a simple one-way street. It's a powerful, never-ending cycle. Think about it. A new highway gets built, and suddenly a distant suburb becomes way more accessible. Soon, that farmland might turn into a huge new housing development. And what does that do? It creates thousands of new daily commuters and new travel demands. This constant loop of influence is something planners call the land use transport feedback cycle. It never stops. So we know every journey has a start and an end point, but how do planners possibly figure out where millions of these trips are beginning and ending each day? Well, they have a really simple but powerful way of looking at it. They think in terms of generators and attractors. This brings us to a core concept in planning called trip generation, or Pergerakan. Now, I know it sounds a bit technical, but the idea is actually super simple. It's just the process of predicting exactly how many trips will start in one area and how many will end in another. It's actually a really easy way to visualize it. Any zone that's pushing trips out into the city is a generator, and any zone that's pulling trips in from other places is an attractor. Simple as that, push and pull. So let's make this super clear. A neighborhood full of houses is a massive trip generator in the morning, right? Everyone is leaving for work and school. Now, that same office district they're all heading to, that's a trip attractor. Then in the evening, the whole thing flips. The office district generates trips, and the neighborhood attracts them. See? It just reverses. So how do planners actually put all of this together to predict traffic and plan for what's next? They use a classic method, a fundamental toolkit for reading the city, called the four-stage model. This model basically breaks down all of our complex travel into four simple, logical questions. First, trip generation, or Pergerakan. How many trips are we even talking about? Second, trip distribution, Pergerakan. Okay, where are all these trips going? Third, mode choice, pemilihan moda. Are people driving, taking the bus, cycling? And finally, fourth, route assignment, pemilihan route. Which specific roads or train lines will they use? By answering these four questions in order, planners can build a surprisingly accurate picture of a city's entire transportation system. But listen, this isn't just some abstract model for planners to geek out on. This whole way of seeing the city has a direct, real-world impact on your daily commute, on your quality of life, and on the future of the very place you call home. You see, by understanding these patterns, planners can actually get ahead of the curve. They can predict where traffic jams are gonna happen before they even start. They can make much smarter decisions about where to invest billions in new roads or metro lines. They can design public transit that actually goes where people need it to go. And at the end of the day, they can work towards the big goal, reducing our commute times and building cities that are just better, smarter places to live for all of us. So the next time you're sitting in traffic, just remember that invisible blueprint that's at play, that cycle of activities, land use, and transport that puts you right there. The system isn't random, it's designed. And that leaves us with a pretty important thought. Now that you know how it works, what role can we all play in helping to design better, smarter, and more livable cities for our future?